Chapter 9. The Dial. Stargate Command. Gate room. The dial sequence was familiar enough that the room didn't flinch at the first rotation. It still pulled every eye. Carter stood at her console with graphs ready and assumptions restrained. Daniel watched from behind the glass, notebook open, face set in that calm intensity he wore when he didn't want anyone to know he was worried. Teal'c waited at the edge of the room, steady as a reference point. We stood at the front of a line that filled the gate room and the corridor beyond it. Not just an American team. A multinational one. Close to 100 people, give or take, drawn from every nation that had signed onto the program. Security in mixed uniforms, scientists with different patches, engineers with cases, medics with hard bags, linguists and comm specialists carrying gear that looked too small to matter and too important to lose. The named faces were only the tip of it. The rest was the infrastructure of a mission that was supposed to become a foothold. Anil's voice cut through the quiet. This is it. Once you step through, you may not be able to come back. We didn't blink. Understood. Anil's gaze shifted to Carter. You good? Carter didn't offer comfort. Baseline is low. Not zero. Mac-K hovered near Carter until the last possible second, like proximity to the numbers could make them behave. It's never zero. Physics would get bored. Carter ignored him and keyed the final sequence. Chevron by chevron, the system took the address and committed. The event horizon snapped into place with a clean, bright surface that looked too calm for what it represented. Walter exhaled. Wormhole established. Carter's eyes went straight to the sideband trace. For half a second, everything looked normal. Then the coupling graph twitched. Not a spike. A ripple. Thin, off-axis, like something had been nudged sideways instead of pushed straight through. Mac-K leaned close enough to annoy her. You saw that. Carter didn't look away. I saw it. Daniel's voice came through the intercom from the control room. That pattern resembles the residue behavior. Carter kept her tone level. Wormhole is stable. Proceed. Weir nodded once. The flow began. Teams moved in disciplined groups, spaced by briefing and habit. Security and engineers first, then specialists, then more crates. The gate held. The room's tempo became a controlled rhythm. Step, vanish, next. This was not the Battlestar anomaly. There was no brittle countdown, no 20-second cliff. The intergalactic link held away it was supposed to hold when you fed it ZPM power, long enough to do the job, short enough to remind everyone the job had teeth. Carter tracked three things at once: stability, ZPM draw, and that off-axis ripple that refused to behave like noise. Minutes passed. The ZPM output sagged by fractions and recovered. It was never going to be generous, but it held long enough to move a small army of specialists through a single circle of light. O'Neill watched the line shorten. How long? Carter didn't guess. We have time. Not forever. The ZPM is draining steadily. The final wave moved faster, not from fear, but because everyone understood what finite power meant. The last pallets cleared the ramp. The last cluster of personnel broke into a jog and disappeared into the event horizon. The gate held. For a heartbeat, Carter let herself believe it would end cleanly. Then the off-axis ripple tightened. Not into an alarm. Into a clear deviation, like something in the network had been brushed and had begun to resonate. Walter's voice rose a notch. Power is dropping. Carter didn't look up. ZPM output is falling off. We're close. Anil's eyes went to the ramp. It was empty. Clear, he said. The gate didn't tremble. It simply started to look tired. Then the system did what systems did when the battery ran out. The event horizon collapsed. Clean. Sudden. Final. Walter exhaled. Wormhole terminated. Carter stared at her trace. Instead of returning to baseline, the coupling graph spiked sideways once, hard, like energy dumped into a channel that hadn't existed yesterday. Then the reference slid, and the trace dropped out as if the measurement itself had lost its anchor. Daniel's voice came low over the intercom. That was not normal termination. Anil's face didn't change. Meaning? Carter swallowed and forced her voice steady. Meaning the residue didn't just sit there. It coupled into something at shutdown. O'Neill looked at the silent ring. Then we just kicked a system we don't understand. Carter's hands were already moving. Get me external telemetry. Anything in orbit. Anything. Atlantis, gate room. The world on the other side was not a world. It was a city. They stepped into dim blue shadow and ancient metal. The air tasted clean in a way no ship's recycler ever managed. The gate sat in a vast chamber. Above it, balconies and walkways vanished into darkness. Around it, consoles stood dark, arranged like a control room that had been switched off mid-breath. Shepard moved first, weapon up. Ford and a security element spread out. Beckett hung back just enough to keep his lungs from doing anything dramatic. We took in the chamber and didn't hesitate. This is the control room. Perimeter first. Then we establish comms and triage systems. Mackay scanned, frustrated. There should be standby power. Any kind of status lights. He stared at the nearest console and did not touch it. Weir glanced at him. Thank you. Mackay looked offended. Don't get used to it. A faint line of light traced along the floor, not bright enough to be a beacon, just enough to be direction. It ran along the central aisle, climbed the steps to the console ring, and stopped at a single station. Weir's eyebrows lifted. Surprise, not suspicion. It's responding. Mackay stared at the line like it had insulted his education. That is either guidance or the world's most passive-aggressive invitation. Shepard's gaze moved once around the chamber. Ford, check those openings. Ford headed toward one of the tall arched apertures lining the wall. He stopped. Dr. Weir, he said, voice low. Weir crossed quickly. Shepard was beside her in a heartbeat. Beyond the opening was water. Not an illusion. Not glass. A wall of blue-black ocean pressed against an invisible boundary so close it felt like the room should be colder. Ford lifted a hand and pointed. Bubbles. A steady stream, rising outside the city's skin in the distance, climbing into darkness like something inside the city was exhaling into the sea. Ford's voice stayed controlled, but his eyes widened. We're underwater. Weir followed his line of sight. The bubbles weren't coming from everywhere. They were coming from one section. A wedge of the exterior where a faint shimmering boundary was missing, as if a protective field had pulled back and left a corner exposed. Air escaping. Water waiting. Beckett swallowed. That's air leaving. Mackay arrived behind them, saw the water, and went still. The sarcasm drained out of him like it had been a costume. That's the shield, he said. Weir turned to him. You're sure? Mackay didn't look away from the exposed section. I'm sure enough to stop arguing. That area isn't covered. Shepard's jaw tightened. Can you fix it? Mackay's gaze snapped back to the console ring. Not by guessing. I need a power readout. Now. He moved fast, weaving through the ring of dark stations until he found the lit one the floor guidance had marked. He didn't start pressing random controls. He hunted for a way in. Interface, he muttered. Give me an interface. A technician in the support element stepped in with a portable connection kit. Not a power source. A translator bridge for signal, minimal draw, minimal risk. Mackay gestured sharply. Here. Weir's tone was steady. Rodney, talk to me. Mackay shot her a look, half disbelief that she could still sound calm and half relief that her voice was something familiar. If you say my name like that right now, I'm billing you for emotional damages. Rodney. Mackay exhaled once, then focused. Okay. The link established. The station lit fully. Symbols populated the screen. Not readable, but structured. Mackay's eyes sharpened, the way they always did when a puzzle stopped being theoretical and became survival. Status overlay, he said. Come on. He pulled up what he could interpret, system power distribution, environmental containment, shield output. The numbers looked wrong. The bars looked wrong. Everything about the reserves looked wrong. He went very quiet. Weir heard it in his silence. Rodney. Mackay pointed at the reserve indicator. We're on emergency power. Whatever the main source is, it's either offline or nearly depleted. The city's been asleep on fumes. Shepard leaned in. How bad? Mackay didn't sugarcoat it. Bad enough that walking around matters. Ford frowned. Walking. Mackay flicked a control. A small log appeared, a list of subsystem activations. Every time a corridor light came on, every time a door mechanism cycled, every time a sensor grid woke up, the drawer ticked upward. He didn't need perfect translation for that. The trend was the language. Every room we activate, Mackay said, voice flat, every corridor we light, every system we wake, it's another nail. We're spending power we don't have to keep the city awake while the shield is trying to keep the ocean out. Beckett looked back at the bubbling section outside. And the shield. Mackay brought up the shield integrity bar. It wasn't full. It was moving. Not dropping like a rock. Dropping like a slow bleed. Mackay's throat worked once. The damage is already done. We woke the city. It's drawing. The shield will fail. Weir held his gaze. How long? Mackay shook his head. I don't know. Minutes. Hours. Depends what else turns on. Depends what the city decides it needs. Another stream of bubbles rose outside, as if the city had answered the question for them. Weir turned, voice cutting through the chamber. All teams. This is Weir. Return to the gate room immediately. Repeat, all teams return to the gate room. Do not activate any additional systems unless instructed. Acknowledgements snapped back over comms. Voices tightened. Footsteps turned into a controlled retreat. Shepard looked at Weir. If we're trapped here and the shield fails, we die. Weir didn't flinch. Yes. Shepard's eyes went to the gate. Then we use it. Mackay looked up sharply. Use it how? Shepard didn't hesitate. Evacuate. Dial a planet. Get everyone off Atlantis before it floods. Mackay's mouth tightened. We don't even know which console controls the gate. There's no DHD. There's no manual dial interface like Earth has. Weir's voice stayed steady. But you can find it. Mackay stared at the falling shield bar, then at the console ring like it was a set of locked doors in a burning house. He nodded once, unwillingly committing. I can find it. Weir's tone didn't soften, but it shifted to something sharper. Then find it. While we still have time. Mackay's fingers moved again, faster now, searching the interface for anything that looked like gate control, anything that looked like an address list, anything that looked like a way to make the city listen. Outside, bubbles rose. Inside, more lights came on as returning teams triggered motion sensors and doorway cycles, each one a tiny theft from the same shrinking reserve. Mackay watched the bar drop another fraction. Rodney, Weir said again, quietly this time. Mackay didn't look up. I know. The moon, surface Tyrol had told himself the quiet window would be quiet. The ring proved him wrong without ever turning on. His handheld meter climbed like pressure building in a sealed compartment. Not a surge. A steady rise that made his skin prickle beneath his suit. Boomer looked up from her console. Halo stood beside her, watching the limiter readout with the same expression he wore when he didn't like the physics but respected it. Tyrol keyed his comm raptor to Galactica. Echo is rising fast. Adama's voice came back immediately, clipped. Explain. Tyrol forced it out clean. The coupling offset is climbing without an active link. Like the space around the ring is being pulled. Boomer's eyes flicked to the limiter display. It's being tuned. Then the chamber lurched. Not from thrust. Not from impact. From reference. The stars outside the Raptor's window smeared into lines. Not the familiar FTL tunnel. Something else. A drag without a drive. The chamber went white. When vision returned, Tyrole's first thought was that his suit had failed. His second was that the sky was wrong. A blue-white curve filled half the horizon. Cloud bands. Sun glare. A world. Not a dead rock. Not a gas giant. A living-looking planet. Boomer's voice was thin. Chief. Tyrol swallowed. That's habitable. Halo's breathing was loud in his helmet for a second, then controlled again. Can you tell what it is? Tyrol didn't lie. No. But it's a world with an atmosphere. He keyed the comm Galactica. We're on a moon. There's a habitable planet in the sky. I can't ID it. A beat. Then Adama's voice. Tighter. Copy. Hold position. Galactica. CIC Galactica came out of the shift hard enough to rattle teeth. CIC filled with overlapping callouts. The fleet plot tried to stabilize around a gravity well it didn't recognize and then did. Gator's fingers moved fast, recalculating in a universe that had decided to rewrite the coordinate frame. Tyre's head snapped up. Report. Gator didn't look away. We are in orbit near a large satellite body. The planet below is populated. Human emissions across multiple bands. Adama gripped the rail. Can you confirm it's Earth? Gator ran solutions, cross-checking mass and orbital period. He hesitated, then gave the only answer that was honest. Mechanically, it matches, he said. But I can't confirm culturally. Tyre's voice went low. And the civilian fleet. Gator's hands flew across the plot. Not present. Multiple hulls missing. Absent. Adama's expression hardened. Find them. Dradis chimed again. A single large contact emerged from the lunar shadow, sliding into view from behind the moon's far side. Gator's throat tightened. New contact. Large. Tyre's face went hard. Cylon. On the main display, the silhouette resolved, angular, wrong, and familiar in the way nightmares were familiar. A base star. It had come through with them and immediately buried itself in the one hiding place that made sense, the moon's shadow. Then it launched. Gator's voice rose. Multiple launches. High acceleration tracks. Inbound vector toward the planet. Adama didn't blink. Vipers in the air. Now. Ty was already moving. All batteries. Target the launch vectors. Galactica's flak opened up. Vipers burned hard, cutting for intercept points. The base star's missiles accelerated and corrected, turning space into a geometry problem with dead answers. Their time to target was measured in long minutes, enough time for interception and not enough time to breathe. Gator called it out. Multiple warheads. Nuclear signatures probable. Adama's voice went colder. They won't reach the planet. Earth, high-orbit Prometheus had been held close during the Atlantis window, not out chasing mysteries. Close enough to respond if anything went wrong. When the first unknown contacts appeared, the ship's tactical systems didn't hesitate. Multiple inbound tracks, a sensor officer reported. Origin, lunar distance. They're accelerating. The captain didn't waste time. Launch interceptors. Target the warheads. Railguns fired in controlled bursts. Interceptors burned hard into black. The tactical display filled with predicted intercept points and too many failure paths. A secure channel opened, crisp and unmistakable. This is Lieutenant General Hammond, Homeworld Security, the voice said. All assets prioritize missile defense. Protect Earth. Engage any platform as required to stop those warheads. The captain didn't argue. Copy. Homeworld Security. Prometheus engaging. The first intercept happened well above the atmosphere. A flash, then another, then a chain of them like the sky itself was blinking. But not all tracks were clean. And the number of warheads was not small. Stargate Command, Operations Corridor. The first warning didn't come from the gate. It came from a phone that never rang unless someone outside this mountain had already noticed something impossible. Walter answered at the desk, listened for 2 seconds, and went pale. "Sir, NORAD is reporting multiple unknown contacts in orbit. First tracks over Europe. NATO partners are seeing them too." O'Neill took the receiver. His face didn't change, but his eyes did. Carter was already pulling up telemetry. "Those are real." Another voice came through the phone, fast and unsteady. "We have multiple high-altitude flashes. Visual confirmation from ground observers. This is going public right now." O'Neill's jaw tightened. "All assets prioritize interception. Protect the planet." He hung up and turned toward Carter. "Get Hammond on a secure line. Now." Walter was already moving. Within seconds, a secure feed opened. Hammond's face appeared on a monitor, calm in the way it got when the situation didn't deserve panic and absolutely deserved action. "Hammond," O'Neill said. "We just had an anomalous coupling event on the gate during the Atlantis dial. Immediately after, NORAD reports unknown orbital contacts." Hammond didn't waste words. "We're tracking. Prometheus is engaging inbound warheads now." Carter stepped in, precise. "Sir, our gate telemetry shows a lateral coupling dump at shutdown. We believe something linked to the anomaly may have been displaced." Hammond's gaze sharpened. "Understood. Keep feeding us your data. Our priority is simple. Earth survives." O'Neill's voice stayed flat. "And we figure out what just arrived." Hammond nodded once. "You do that. I'll handle the shooting." Above Europe, the night sky kept strobing with distant suns. And secrecy, finally, became the least urgent problem in the room.